Hello, 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 my darlings. Good morning. It's a very beautiful, sunshiny, light skied day here in Manchester, which is wonderful. So, today, which is the last day of the Choose Your Own Adventure Masterclass series, day 3. This is a juicy one. I'm excited about this. It ticks all the boxes for me. This one is called Fuck Betraying Yourself, saying bye bye to Miss Nice Girl. Okay, or nice guy if you like. Nice person if we're going to go even further there. So, as always, if you're here watching live, please say hello. It's always lovely to know who is in the room, in the space with me. If you're watching this on the replay, again, say hello. You can give a hashtag replay too. And as always, I really encourage and invite you to engage, to comment, to ask questions, to let me know what resonates for you as we go through this particular juicy subject and topic today. So, how are you doing? How are you doing? We've had the most incredible, the sessions, the day 1 and day 2 sessions of this Choose Your Own Adventure series have been phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And I'm just been blown away by the power of this work, the power of what you have been sharing with me too, both here and also in private. And what really has struck me so strongly, as these things always do, because everything that I offer is also a teacher for myself as I am gathering and really sitting with what is it that I want to share, what's vital that I'd love for you to know, to experience, to inquire around. Everything also is a gift back to myself again. So I sit in these teachings and the medicine of all of this myself, and it can really and has really affirmed for me the importance of, the power of coming back over and over and over again to being in alignment. Because it's not a one time fix. Okay, I don't even like that word. It's not a one time practice or tool that you just do and that is it. You are aligned forever. No, the thing is about having the tools to be in alignment is that they're part of our toolbox. They're part of what we carry with us in our bag that we put on our shoulders so we set off on our own adventure. So that we know that we have these particular tools, that we can reach into our bag and grab one of those when we need it. When we are feeling, shit, I've gone into self-betrayal, which is what we were looking at yesterday. I've gone out of alignment. I'm feeling this way, that way. Something isn't right. What are the tools that I can use right now in order to bring myself back into that place of alignment so I continue back on my journey, continue on choosing that adventure, which is who I am. Oh, hello, sweetheart. Hello, darling. Mwah. Lovely to have you here. Yeah, sleepiness is good. Yeah, there's me trying to go. Yeah, I'll do a early for me session. I'm just trying different times for these, and that didn't work out for me. To push it back half an hour. Here I am now though, awake, had my coffee. Life is good. Sun is shining, as I say. Okay, so let's dive in here. Let's dive in here. So just to say as well that if you're watching this as it's live, day 1 and day 2 are available for you in the group if you're watching this in the group at the moment, and they'll be available to you until next Wednesday. Okay, the 24th. That's when the alignment keys begin, which I'll tell you a little bit more about later. And then they're not going to be here. If you want to have full access to these videos so you can watch them again, rewatch. If you haven't had time to watch them, then let me know and I will send you the form just to register into this series, and then you'll get them and you can keep the recordings forever. Okay, so That's really, really clear. Right, back to where we are. Miss Nice Girl, aka the good girl. I call this the good girl syndrome. Now, I think this is something that so many of us have. So many of us have been living our lives in some way or other aligned to Miss Good Girl, okay, as opposed to aligned to who we are. Okay, very, very different. And this is causing, or has been causing, a lot of issues in our life and in our creative life, that no matter what we try and do or work around or repair, or, all the time and energy and effort that we put into dealing with this, the actual root cause is that we're living in good girl. We'll call her this good girl syndrome, this particular archetype. So first of all, what is this good girl? How does she move about the world? Okay, he or she. I'm going to go with she for the sake of I'm using that little term. Obviously, if you're not a she, you can just swap that for another pronoun. Okay. And let me know if any of these are familiar to you, you recognize these in any of your behavior. And it might be, even if it's not so much your behavior, maybe you know somebody who is living in this. Maybe it's your partner, maybe it's your really good friend, maybe it's people that you work with. So just seeing if you can recognize where these behaviors of the good girl syndrome show up for you. Okay, so how do we know if we're in this? Well, the very first thing is the good girl, the nice girl. One of the big things is they're very compliant all of the time, And one of the ways this shows up, and I'm just thinking about this now, is, if like you're hanging out with somebody, or maybe you've had this with a partner, and they're always agreeing with you. Yeah, they're always agreeing with you. They're always soothing things. Everything's a really good idea. A bit like having like a yes man the whole time. And I don't know about you, but when I've had that, whether it's been in relationship or more so maybe in particular friendships, it's really annoying. Because you're kind of like, come on. It's almost like, have you got any, is this really what you think? Are you just agreeing with me? Where's your opinion around things? They don't really seem to have, the good girl doesn't really seem to have her own opinions, really. They won't put in their point of view that maybe differs from or is completely in contrast to the opinion that you're putting in. Yeah, it's just agreeance all across the board, which is a weird thing, and it feels suspicious, and it can feel really fucking irritating, actually. It's a bit like, huh? Really? Not sure. And in some ways, that doesn't really create this alive and sparky relationship. Relationships have difference of opinions. Relationships have these incredible conversations where maybe you exploring each other's viewpoint. And part of why we do that is it's for learning and for growing and for going, wow, I didn't think of things like that, for giving us new perspectives on stuff. It can feel deeply unsettling. Exactly, we can feel it. It's a bit like, and if we're the one in that place, we'll recognize this, and it might actually bring up quite a somatic response in us of feeling, there might be some fear there, oh my God, I'm being discovered. Yes, that is me. And the reason, we do this is, well, to be liked. Let's just go straight to that to begin with. The reason we live in good girl syndrome is because it makes us feel that we fit in. It makes us feel that we belong. It makes us feel liked, accepted. It makes us feel that, yeah, we're loved. It makes us feel that we're safe. Okay, now, those particular things I've just mentioned are very human. In fact, they're very basic, primal needs of being a human being, especially, as I always mention, we are beings that are always in relationship, whether that's to ourselves, to our environment, to another, to the community, to our society, and so on. That's just how we are made. We're relational beings. So we all want to feel that. And it can be like an existential terror not to feel any of those things. Okay, so it's a big thing for us. We feel like if we earn agreeance, if we stay being nice, however that is for us, then we're going to just be accepted into the fold. We're going to be part of that tribe. Everything's hunky-dory. Except it's not. And it's such the wrong way to go about feeling safe, feeling like we belong, feeling like we are accepted for who we are. And the reason that it's really precarious is because of exactly that. We could be found out at any moment. It's quite exhausting having to kind of navigate and be on alert around us for what's the right thing to say here. You know, in this situation, we have to be reading people all the time, scanning and assessing situations. And quite frankly, not only is that really exhausting, but it means that we're putting so much of our attention and energy onto that rather than our own fucking life. You know, such a huge way to be in the world. So this is the first thing, the sense of compliance, and it's a feeling of not having the sense of not having any backbone. You know, like you want to shake somebody. It's a bit like, yeah, yeah, okay, yeah, I'll go along with that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's it can be annoying and feel unsettling, as has been mentioned here, because of that. It's like I could just push you and you'll just fall over. What are you, just some kind of victim? It's very victim mentality as well, you know, underneath that victim kind of mentality. It can come across as a bit wimpy, you know, that same thing. It's a bit kind of wimpy, which can feel a bit, okay. Essentially, it's people pleasing to the nth degree, which is very bound and wrapped up. And all of this is in shame. Shame is a massive, massive thing that can coat every single aspect of who we are in our life. It's very prevalent. I live most of my life as shame as a familiar to me. It's been my biggest wounding, you could call it that I've had to work with so much over the years. Shame about who I am, shame about what I do. And people pleasing is one of what I call the 3 Ps. People pleasing, perfectionism, procrastination. And they all have this good girl, nice girl in them. Yeah, you can feel that if you think about those things. And there are many of us that recognize those 3 Ps in our own lives. So let me know if that is something for you that you also recognize to some extent. It's also a place where we're, you know, kind of touching a little bit about what I said. It's a place of needing validation, needing approval, needing to know I'm okay, you know, touching upon the shame place again. Somebody else outside of us giving us our sense of self-worth, our sense of self-value, essentially our sense of self. It's so outward focused that if we've been living all our lives, and we probably learned this when we were little, we probably did because it was the way, as I mentioned, to feel safe, belonging, liked, accepted, loved, and so on. So in a way, it might be that we've never turned that back onto ourselves enough to go, or who am I? And who am I in the sense of, well, what do I need? What are my needs? What are my needs? Don't know. I don't know. What do I really want? God, I haven't got a clue. What do I desire? What are my dreams? This is a big one because I work so much with clients, with their desires, with their dreams. And it's really telling if someone asks you, oh my God, what's your biggest dream? What's your big desire? And if you really, really are a bit stunned by that, and many people are, and it can be quite a surprise when we kind of sit with that and go, I haven't got a clue. I really don't know. It's because we've never turned that spotlight onto our own sweet self and asked ourselves those questions. And it's okay if you are resonating with this. All of this is okay. It can just be a way in. to sit with those questions, to own the I don't know, and just to allow that to be there, to be curious, to wonder, to go about our days going, what are my needs? What do I want? What are my dreams? What are my dreams? What do I really desire? And it's a really beautiful place actually to live from, because it actually plugs us back into a really sweet place of innocence. That very, very powerful soul place of innocence where we're sat with, if you like, the mystery, life, spirit, God, whatever you want to call it itself. And you're in that conversation and you become almost like this empty vessel going, fill me with the needs for my life. Fill me with the wants that I can go and take action on. Fill me with desires and dreams for me to just be turned on by and to contribute, to my own sweet joy and to that of life itself and the community, to be of service. So when we're in good girl syndrome, Miss Nice Girl, we won't have any access to that because it's never been a place we've turned to, because we're always looking outside to make sure we're okay out there. Is anybody, let me know if any of this is resonating, if you recognize it might not be where you are now, but you might have been that person, or you might be going, shit, this is me right now. Fuck, okay, let me make this a beautiful, intimate prayer with life, with spirit, and walk around as this living prayer each day going, wow, okay. And one of the ways, and I'm not going to go into too much here, but we do this in the alignment keys, it's very beautiful, is to go around your day as this prayer. Notice what you're drawn to. Notice what touches you. Notice what has a resonance. And vice versa. Notice where you turn away. Notice things that kind of leave you cold. And it's almost like you start compiling this list of ingredients that are very soulful on a very deep, deep level of who you are. It gives us those little clues that we might start to follow. I think about fairy tales, and following particular breadcrumbs. Yeah, that's what we do, is we start to dot these breadcrumbs around. Okay, it's very, that can be very beautiful. So none of these things, as I say, if we recognize the Miss Nice Girl, the good girl syndrome, they're not places to be horrified by or to whip ourselves with shame, because remember, this has come from an original wound of shame, of separation. It's actually, how do we love ourselves back to life? How do we love ourselves back to life? How do I love myself back to life? And one of those ways is to get really clear about our needs, our wants, and our desires. And as I say, this is what we dive deep into in the alignment keys. And it's very, very beautiful, very sweet. We come back to that sweetness. So we come back to that little part of us, that little girl, little guy, whatever it is, and start over. We bring that attention to her, to them, and go, you're important, you matter. Because essentially, the good girl syndrome, the nice girl, has this deep-rooted belief that they don't matter. So we start from that place of, I matter. I matter, so this is important to me. This is what I'm needing in my life. This is my dream. I matter. It's very moving. Let me know how this is landing for you. It's very beautiful. Two more things with this actually as well. We're still just on this very first part here of how do we recognize this nice girl, good girl syndrome. So one of the ways as well is that we censor ourselves. We put this big masking tape X on not just our mouth within our words, but how we move. You look at little people, little kids, little toddlers, young kids, how free they are in their expression, how free they are in what comes out their mouth, how free they are from showing one feeling and emotion, and then like that, a switch to something completely different, and then another switch, something completely different, so easily, freely. How much their bodies are free in their movements. There's not this self-consciousness that comes to us as we start to grow up. Just freedom, 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 empty, 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 everything just moving through and out. We are a pure vessel of expression in every single moment. The nice girl, good girl, senses everything, constricts down, is can't move. It's very balanced, very straitjacket. And with this, especially as we mature into adults, there's something that comes up for us about being too much. If I'm too much, it goes with the opposite, not enough. Too much, not enough are the same thing. If you have one of those, it's all shame bound. You will swing to the other at times. Yeah. This is very familiar. I know this one very, very intimately. It can be very painful. Noticing going from one to the other, going one to the other. It's always places of disconnection from relationship. So this censoring of this is very connected to our creativity. I can't say that. I can't express that. I can't paint that. I can't move like that. I can't create this project. I can't have that idea. What will people say? It's too much. I'm going to get disapproved of. I can't possibly. I'll shock them, and so on and so on. And because they are the same currency, this is about currency of who you are. It's the same thing with our sexual voice and expression. Allowing ourselves, our sexuality, allowing ourselves to be seen in the fullness and power of our sexuality. Being seen as that desirous, juicy, turned on woman. And this is something that can feel deeply unsettling if we are around or we see somebody who embodies that easily and naturally. It can make us feel intimidated, make us feel threatened. We can judge that person. We can be really repelled. These are all very good signs that we are not allow that part of us out, that there's a censorship going on. The good girl in us is censoring that mode of expressing the currency of who we are. It's really interesting, isn't it? And as I say, I'm still working on this. I'm still taking those steps to reclaim all of myself. I have come so fucking far in my own life. And there are still places where that has yet to be fully embodied, fully owned. Back into, it's not adding anything on. It's taking away so that I am free from that straitjacket and bondage of that, so I can fully express through however I am here to express. It could be a creative practice. It could be your offerings. It could be your business. It could be in relationships. It could be the way you dress. It could be how your home is. It could be how you walk down the street. So this is the freedom from that place. But good girl, no. Censors, closes it down. Probably somewhere along the line you've been shamed for that expression. You were told that, in art class at school, that was shit. Here you go, it's a D- for that. You were shamed for your sexuality. Maybe you were called a slut, in your teenage years. Or there's all these places. Maybe you were told, you were caught self-pleasuring when you were quite young and you didn't know, and you were just enjoying your body and you were shamed for that. There were so many ways where the innocence of that little one was taken away. And what puts in place is shame, bounds over it, wrapped up in that, and that's what we carry into our life. It's really profound. It's profound, isn't it? How is this sitting and landing? Does this resonate? And we can be at such, anywhere on the scale of completely shame-bound and completely muted in lots of ways of who we are, and really, tightly to the almost kind of out of control, kind of on the other side. We can be anywhere in this scale of this place. Okay. So these are all how the good girl shows up, shows itself. And the impact that has then on the world is absolutely profound. And we're going to go into that very shortly. But so this is kind of what's going on, but then how it shows itself then as all this is going on. The biggest way it shows itself, because remember, we're looking at shame, and shame is an expressive energy. It's an outward moving energy. It's the same energy as anger, because shame is anger towards ourselves, because we're not enough. There's a real judgment here. Blame is anger outwards towards others, the world, or whatever. There's judgment is so there's a lot of layers where this anger itself, it has a negative connotation of what we see as anger. But actually, anger itself as an energy, when it's very clear and pure, it is exactly that. It's an expression. It's a very powerful arrow outwards. It's very clear. Very clear. It's very embodied. It's very coming from the heart. This is so important when it's clear and then it's done. Like kids, get angry and then it's done. Most of us, because of this being censored, because people have feared the too muchness of our expression, of our voice, of our no's, of our yeses, we have been taught ourselves by people that were taught themselves, by their parents that were taught by their parents, and so on, that that's not okay. And so it's been kind of denied and squished and held, and it will come out in all those behaviors and ways that we think of when we think of anger. The rage, the destructiveness, the hurtfulness that comes out, the behaviors that are not so good towards ourselves and towards others, the sabotaging. So we're working with here where the good girl has denied, because that's it really, her voice. So it's very likely, if you know this part of you, you know somebody else, they don't seem to get angry. They don't seem to have this, that's not okay. They haven't got those boundaries in place to say no and to really own that. So what happens instead? The first thing is if that's not moving anywhere, it becomes resentment. It's a ball of resentment, very held in, very like that. Now I know this one very well because this is what happened to me as a teenager. I was walking around as a fucking ball of resentment, filled with all this huge, almost too muchness of my creative and sexual energy. Shame was happening. Voice was switched down, just walking around resentful. It's such a kind of energy. It's almost like a kind of, your energy is constipated in you. Okay, so that's the first clue is resentment towards them. And this is the thing, because remember, it's always outward looking. So then we look outwards and we judge. It's another clear sign. Who do they think they are? Look at them. We judge others. And we judge others all the time because they probably are living how we want to live. They're doing the things we want to do. They're achieving what we want to achieve. They're acting or saying or being, behaving in ways that we want to be really deep down. They're expressing themselves. They're living that. They're giving their voice out into the world. So we'll judge. That anger energy, again, it comes out that way. Okay? We do that to ourselves. Judging self and others. These are all such places. They're all very close to the bone to me because these have been so familiar. Stopping my life, wondering why. This is another thing. It's a huge one. I've spent a lot of time in depression in my life, or anxiety. I think it was Paulo Coelho, the author of The Alchemist, the beautiful writer, that said a quote going, anxiety and depression are signs that we are living for others and not for ourselves. And whoa, did that bowl me over when I heard that. Living for others and not for ourselves. We're denying our own expression, our own creativity. It gets stuck. It's heavy energy in the body, heavy energy in the emotional body. It can literally make us ill, dis-ease. Sometimes a lot of these things are simply because we're not letting our own expressive energy and voice flow however it wants to do so. Essentially what we deny is our wild, instinctual nature. Not destructive wildness. Wild instinctual nature is embodied. It's very much coming from our belly, our heart, from our bones, from our nature. It's grounded in the earth. But it's true for us. Every one of us, especially us as women. So powerful. The animal part of us, the instinctual part of us. We cannot access her if we are living in the good girl, nice girl, straitjacket place. It's impossible. That good girl part of us is terrified of our own nature. It's going to be out of control. It's going to be messy. It's going to fuck everything up. It might be, especially to begin with, if we've not allowed it off its leash for most of our life. As I always say, anything that we're becoming, coming back to ourselves, remembering, putting back in place, will probably be clumsy as we learn how to do that. It's okay. As long as we take ownership, accountability, responsibility. So resentment, yeah, holding that in, the judgment, we could be gossipy. That's a really good sign. Gossip, oh my God, have you heard about, again, it's so outward focus. It's such a waste of energy, but it can feel good. It's a kind of a compulsion or addiction, because what it's doing is we're voicing about these others and we're giving a lot of energy to that and emotion to that. It's actually, it's kind of releasing that pressure, that tension that's building up, but not in a productive or creative way. Again, it can be quite harmful. It's just, no, again, it can feel a bit sticky and a bit unsettling as come up into here. Yeah, gossiping, judging others, as I've said. Comparing and being in competition. Comparing ourselves, obviously unfavorably. Seeing everybody as a competition rather than as we're all in this together, that there's space for each of us. It's almost like we have this sense of there's either that person can have the space or I can have the space. It can't be both of us or all of us. That doesn't make sense. So that can be a really clear sign as we're living our life if there's a lot of that going on. And remember, all of this is going back to what we're actually here to talk about, which is alignment. That first place before we're set off on our choose our own adventure. So these are all clues where we've gone out of alignment, where we've dropped into that place where we're living from misalignment, where we're betraying ourselves. So I just wanted to bring us all back to that is what we're looking at here. You can see, can't you? You can see how all of this makes sense. And these are such familiar, common places in our lives. And we hurt ourselves, we're betraying ourselves. This is the wounding around when we're at the shadow of alignment, not being in alignment. So let's look at the impact, okay? So we've got all the behaviours, we've got all how we act, we've got kind of how that shows itself if we're not aware of the other things. What's the impact? The first thing is we don't ever go off on our own choose your own adventure. Remember, we don't know because we don't know what we want or desire. So we don't, because we're busy checking we're okay, looking at what everyone else is doing and being like, pissed off about people living their life and expressing themselves. We never get to go on our own adventure. That's a shame, because each and every one of us, our lives are our own adventure to choose. We're given this. As Mary Oliver says, we're given a one and only precious life. It's ours. It's our adventure to go on. We have to get fucking behind our own life to create however we want to. It doesn't matter. This is so important. So we don't ever even get to know that we can have our own choose your own adventure. That's a big impact. Another thing is no one gets to see our own genius. No one gets to see it, the genius that we've been given, the gifts that we have here, hidden inside. And these, interestingly, will often be behind or beneath what's being repressed, what we don't think we can say, be, do, act, behave, live as, and so on. It's an irony that actually our genius, that which makes us shine like a motherfucker, makes us feel good, fulfilled, who we are, will be behind or beneath, hidden in what we are stopping ourselves from being and becoming. So it could be a good one to go, okay, where do I stop myself? Where is that place I'm fearful of expressing? Where am I censoring? Where is this good girl showing up in me? Even if it's not hugely strong, can I still notice? I might have mentioned this before, but just to say for me, on this journey where I am now, I'm much more in that freedom place. My edge now is around, writing more taboo. It used to be writing fairy tales, which I never showed anybody, that were more erotic and adult. Now that's shifted. I'm quite fine with people seeing that. I let myself go wherever I want to go with that. Now it's about more things to do with life and the world that I see as taboo, that we can't say, we're not allowed to. And that excites me. I think I mentioned this yesterday. And there's still this is my edge I'm at the moment of like, oh my God, because it's one thing fairy tales and being naughty and erotic and dirty and depraved and all those wondrous things, but to actually have such a strong opinion, which will be divisive, which will mean people won't like me, for certain things. Ooh, it's a watch this space moment there. I can feel actually a lot of energy in my body as I share this with you. Another thing is life will feel heavy and kind of full of effort. It feels like it doesn't flow for us. Everything is like wading through treacle. That's a really good sign. Why does it feel like this? Because when we are living as we are, when we're living in that alignment, as I said, there is an ease. I was actually sat with a friend last night, went out, and they're really following their own choose your own adventure, and it's so beautiful, and I haven't caught up with them for months. And as I was sharing about my shifting around this, and I shared with him how a side effect for me, which I never even knew, was feeling so calm and so peaceful by following my own adventure. That surprised me. And he was like, oh my God, yes, exactly that. I feel that as well. When we are not living in that place, when we're living under the good girl, nice girl, looking outwards place, the shame bound, it doesn't have that. We won't feel that calm and that peace, quite the opposite. So that's a really interesting sign. Also, life responds to our energy. So if we're in this place, it's not a really honest place. It doesn't really build respect from others. Like I mentioned yesterday, sometimes we have to have an opinion, have a voice, which people won't like. But actually, people will always respect us. We respect and trust those that are honest, even if we really don't like what they say, because they're not hiding anything. And that includes then opportunities that come. It's just a free flow. There's space. There's nothing in the way. There's nothing sticky. So actually, the impact of being a good girl is it's kind of less respect or trust from others around us. We might wonder why are we drawing in these kind of relationships, friendships, maybe the opportunities, what we want aren't really coming to us. Really, really powerful. This really affects our relationships on all levels. Interesting. So I'm going to tell you what happens when we do say goodbye, when we do turn away from her. It's not about fixing. I say this all the time. We all have this. She's little, okay? She's learnt to adapt in order to survive. So we give her a round of applause. We bow to her and we go, thank you. You've done an amazing job. Really grateful. Look at me. I'm here. And I'm going to take your hands off that wheel. I might sit you down and give you something. I might just give you, like, take you to a store, an arts and crafts store, or a toy store, or a haberdashery, or, whatever it is for you. Put you on a beach where there's shells for you to collect, whatever. I'm going to put you there. You just let yourself explore, improvise, have a look what's around. And you're going to step in as who you are, the aligned one, the one that is ready to choose your own adventure. So I'm going to tell you what happens when you do this. Before I do so, we start the alignment keys. You want to, all the stuff we've been covering last few days is fucking hell. It's so rich beyond belief. It really is. And the alignment keys is where we go into everything we've spoken about and we find our own tools, our own truth. We stand so ready at that starting line of our own choose your own adventure. So fucking ready, strong, resourced, clear, honest, humbled, knowing we have everything in our bag for our journey to set off. And we'll have that forever. You know, we can keep coming back to those tools, those practices to realign, but we will have those. You will have all of these. I can't tell you how important this work is. It's the only time this year I'm running this program live. Just once a year. It's a 3-day program. You will get workbooks to go with it. You'll get a group, beautiful group to support. You will get voice notes with me throughout the whole time. So you'll get that coaching support as well. And it is rich beyond belief. The program, it's the last time as well, it will be this price. It's $333. It's ridiculous price. You're going to get everything you need to get super clear. And this is all about power. You know, this is so much about your power of who you are. You'll choose your own adventure. And I have a discount for you, which is only available until this Saturday at midnight. Saturday, which is tomorrow, isn't it? The 20th. You can get a third off the price. So you get the whole program for just $222. This, I mean, I can't even for this. This is just ridiculous. Okay. It's a life-changing, it's a game changer. Look, I'm going to put the details in the comments or down below, whatever. This video might then appear. You want to have a chat with me? Is this right for me? I'm not so sure. Anything else that's coming up, you can let me know. And everybody who books on this program gets put into a draw to get a one-to-one session with me, which is at this moment, because my prices are all going up next month actually, to get a one-to-one, which is also worth $222 for now. It won't be next month. So you're kind of getting a one-to-one for free. So you can really embody and go much, much deeper in the work that you're doing. Let me know if you want more info. Send me a DM right below and so on. Share this with anybody you know who might be interested. I'd really appreciate that. Algorithms are just bullshit at the moment. So there you go. Back to what we're doing. So when we stop living from her, from Miss Good Girl, what happens? So the first thing is, you stand so embodied in who you are that there isn't this doubt in you. It's such a warrior. You know, when you feel into this, you can ask yourself, who would I be without this nice girl, good girl? Feel it. There's a spaciousness. If the word warrior is what comes up to me, I'd be really curious to know what comes up for you. And warriors are so open at the heart. I'm having a menopausal flush. So open at the heart, so open to life. They live in such dignity. You live in such a place of dignity. Dignity is this word that keeps coming back to me over and over again this year. Oh, that's handy. Look, I've got a little fan. So excuse me a moment. Oh. That's another one. You let yourself be enjoying life. You know, if fanning yourself because your heart flush just feels so pleasurable. You don't hide it. You are more turned on by life. They're very connected. Remember, sexuality, creativity, voice, they're all the same currency. So rather than shutting down, I can't. It's erotic. You begin to allow the eroticism of you. And that is an ocean of wonder, ocean of possibility, ocean of power, ocean of deliciousness. It's beautiful. It's fun. I'm not talking about sex here. This is so important. I'm talking about owning the pleasure of your own energy, your own body, your own expression, your own freedom, your own movement. You don't care what others think. Not in a light, I don't fucking care, because that is actually another point of disconnection, okay? It's a more of like, ooh, there's a vulnerability. Let's go with that. So you're more willing to still do and act and behave and express how you really truly want to, that wild instinctual part of you wants to, but you don't care enough about being judged and disapproved of or not liked as much as you care about honoring your own desire, your own freedom of life moving in you. Doesn't mean you won't feel like, oh, this is edgy and oh my God, it feels quite a bit scary. There's an aliveness here. There's always this point of edge. It could feel uncomfortable. Probably will. You feel amazing though. You will realize that it's never about fitting in to anything outside of you. It's about belonging to yourself. This coming home. This is profound. Don't we look around, haven't we, since we were little, to find where we belong, the right tribe, the right community, even in our own bodies? You realize you belong to yourself. And not only is that immensely liberating, heart cracking open, but it also means you liberate others. Because others then are just, you just see how they belong to them. You can delight in others. You can be fascinated. You become inspired, curious. Isn't that incredible? Rather than looking out, judging and resentful and comparing and competing. Instead, it's like this, wow, look at you belonging to yourself. Look at you all belonging to yourself over there, girlfriend. It's nice, that, isn't it? It's also, we realize more and more how selfish it is if we don't allow our own genius to be owned and seen and followed. How selfish it is, because then we're not then giving our gifts out into the world. And the word community means to gather together and bringing our gifts to who we are. In tribe, everyone will have their gifts, the seer, the medicine person, the wise one, the healer, the storyteller, whatever it is. We all have our gifts in service and community. Part of being in our genius. We'll also know what we need. We can voice that, what's non-negotiable. Really handy for relationships, any. Business relationships, creative relationships, as well as your intimate and friendships. We're very clear. That's great to work with somebody who's very clear. It's a relief. I won't work with anybody who's not got that clarity. We know what we want. We're unapologetic about that. And we also know or are open to that yearning, because it's such a stretch of our heart around our dreams and desires. The calling. It's where poetry comes from. It's where beauty comes from. It's where true art comes from. And our life can be art. Doesn't mean we have to be practicing a particular craft. Our life becomes that. Isn't that beautiful? I'm really blowing my own mind in this live today. I think so anyway. These are such good reminders to me, because I know this part. I know the good girl one. She's been such a big part. There's still remnants I'm working with. So I really hope this is helpful to you in some way. You'll feel plugged into source. Endless source of power. It's the hugest electricity bank, if you like. It's your currency. You'll be plugged in endlessly. So that effort, oh, it's hard work, trying heavy, wading through treacle, gone. That energy is endless. Sure, of course we need to rest, we need balance, we need to make sure we're not, falling into any of those. But we will have so much energy available to us all the time, because we'll be plugged in directly to source. How cool is that? We'll be buzzing with our own charge. Creative, sexual, life charge. And we can use that however. It doesn't have to be something huge. It can be very quiet. But we'll be plugged into that. We'll be humming in us. Yeah, it's part of our well-being, that hum of well-being. And then finally here, and maybe the most important of all, we just feel right. That sense of peace I mentioned before. And it touches me as I say that. It's just quiet and it's ordinary. I mentioned this yesterday as well. This is the thing when we're in that alignment place. It doesn't need to prove. It doesn't need validation. It's not waving its arms, jumping up and down in a clown suit, trying to get anyone's attention. There's a deep peace, a deep contentment, a deep joy. That river, that quiet, still river of joy that runs deep. And that is just beautiful to move through life that way. So, doesn't this all feel a better way to live than all the things I mentioned about how she shows up, this good girl, nice girl? Doesn't this feel, wow, the possibilities in that, the freedom, it's just you. You get to choose your own adventure. And that is just, the possibilities in that are endless. Like those, going right back to the very beginning of day one, when I talked about those choose your own adventure books and when you were little. You can turn the page, you can choose that, you can go back, choose this, choose that instead. Endless. And that is everything. So, my loves, let me know how all of this has landed for you. I'd love, love, love to know your thoughts, what has come up for you, anything that's inspired you, any questions you might have. And just to remind you again that the alignment keys start on Wednesday, the 24th of July. For this year, it's the only time it's a live program. I've currently got a 30% discount on that, which is available only until midnight tomorrow. When you book, you get put into a draw to win a one-to-one with me. I am just feeling so blessed from this right now. Thank you so much for your time and your attention, and have a beautiful rest of your day.